Good afternoon, Year 4. Mr. Dice here. This is our second session in our collage work based on the work of Matisse. Now, last week we tore the paper and made our figure have some movement in it. This week we're going to do something slightly different. We're going to make 4 figures. Sounds complicated, but don't worry. And those 4 figures are going to dance and be involved in movement across the page. Now, as I say, the work was based on work done by Matisse, and I'm going to show you, when I finish speaking here, an illustration of some of Matisse's figures, and it'll give you an idea about the different forms of movement and the different ways that by moving limbs we can make it appear as if that static, that two-dimensional piece of work is in fact moving or has movement across the page. So when I finish talking, you can just have a look. I think it's about 30 seconds. Have a good look at the figures that Matisse has created. Okay, now this is how we're going to try and reproduce to make our own version of those dancers. And to make it easier, on this paper I've cut out one of the figures and I've stuck on each piece of paper that I got here, which as you can see matches the background. That's the only thing you need to know. On each of those pieces of paper I've put a figure that's in a form of movement, and they're all slightly different. So I'll show you how we go about doing that. When we come to do our final piece of work, you have to work out where those are going to fit on your piece of paper, and this is why it's really important that the paper that we stick, or card that we stick our figures onto, is the same colour as the background so that it blends in. And when we're happy about our 4 figures, then we can go ahead and stick them down. So I'll show you now how we create those 4 figures. We're going to take a piece of A4 paper, and this is the paper that you are going to cut out. And we need 4 shapes, so we need to cut it into quarters. So to do that, you don't have to be massively accurate, but it's better if you are fairly accurate. So we want the corners meeting up with each other, not like this or like this, but the corners meeting up with each other. When the corners have met up, hold that firmly like we did when we were tearing, and just with your fingers and thumbs make a mark. So now we've got halves. When you've done that, we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to fold this over, not like this, so we've got a long thin shape, but we want a rectangular shape. So when we fold this over, we fold the short to the short rather than the long to the long. Fold it over, make the ends meet, and then with your fingers and thumbs crease that down. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that should be fairly straightforward. And then we're going to do the same thing that we learnt last week. I'm going to, with my pen this time, I'm going to draw a line sort of halfway across. In fact, I can see I've got a graphite pencil here, and that might make it slightly more clear for you. And because this is the legs, I'm going to draw a line that comes halfway there, So those are quarters. And if you remember, I'm going to do thirds. And if you want to, what you could do, I just thought, is to put little marks down there so you know where the thirds are going to come. If you're happy with that, take those lines across a piece of paper. So we've got a half like we had last week. These half is divided into quarters, and this half's divided into thirds. And from there we're just going to do the same thing that we did last week. There's the head, neck, the arms are going to come like so, and they're going to come down below that halfway line. The body's going to come with 2 circles. So we've got, if you can remember, we've got that sort of shape. I'm going to make the body now into a more rounded shape. So I've got like so. So it's important that the arms come down past the halfway line, and then I'm going to put the hips in. That's those 2. I'm not spending too much time on this week because we all practiced that last week, didn't we? And then that's going to go down the thighs, knee joints, that's our calves coming down like so, and then feet like so. So it's exactly the same as last week, apart from the fact that now we've got it on a smaller rectangle, and we've done that so that'll fit on those pieces of paper that we're looking for. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut through carefully. This is easier than the... So now I've got a piece that's got the head on, like so. So I'm going to put that down there. And now I'm going to carefully cut up so I separate the arms. Now this time it's going to be in 4 separate pieces, so I've got to be careful to keep the arms all together in a pile. I'm going to do the other arms. I'm going to make sure those arms are all together in a pile, and then I'm going to cut the body from the legs like so. And now I'm going to start my cutting out. So I've got the head, and when you're cutting, it's this part of the scissors that are doing all of the work, right where the 2 scissors meet. So if you put that right in, you should be able to cut that paper or card fairly straightforwardly. I'm doing it quite quickly, but you just take your time. And now I've got 4 little heads. So I'm going to put the heads down there, and I'm going to move this piece of cut paper off of my table for the moment. I'll pick it up later on, put it in the recycling. I'm now going to do the arm, and I'm going to, this time I'm going to leave the arms so that they're together. I'm not going to separate the arms. Last time we cut below the elbow and the forearm off. So now I'm going to put my forearms and arms by there. I'm going to put the spare piece of paper down there. Now you can see why I'm doing this, hopefully, because we don't want to get muddled up. You have to make sure when you're cutting these that all 4 pieces, it's like a pack of cards, are all on top of each other. And holding tight with this hand is just as important as the cutting with this hand. So I'm going to quickly again go around here like so. And all you need to do, and there's the arms there, all you need to do, and in fact I'll do the body as well. So then you can see what I'm talking about. Now, ooh, less haste, more speed, and there's our body. So just get rid of these cut pieces. I've got my legs still here as well. So I've got arms, head, and body, and I don't want to get them muddled up. Just put that down there. Now, the card I'm going to work on is going to be black, so I'm going to take a black piece of paper, and to get these, it's an A4 sheet of paper that's been cut in half and then folded in half again and cut in half again. So these are quarters from an A4 piece of paper or card. Now this time, because I want them to fit the shape of our person on, I'm going to fold this long side to long side, and to help me I'm putting my fingers in here to help fold the paper. Again, this doesn't need to be absolutely correct. It's not like origami, but it does need to be more or less correct. And when I've got that line through there, I'm going to carefully cut, and I'm going to do that the same with the other one to give me 4 separate pieces. So I'm going to cut through, I'll have 4 separate pieces. And then this is the easy way of doing the sticking on, and if you do it this way you won't get into too much trouble. I'm going to take an arm. I'm going to take an arm on the right hand side, and I just check I've got just one there. Sometimes you get 2. Yeah, that's just one. And I'm going to put a bit of glue, but I'm not going to glue all of the arm. I'm just going to glue the top bit of the arm. This muscle up at the top, your biceps or triceps, biceps I think it is. So I'm just putting glue. I've got pink glue here so you can see on the top there. And then that's going to come, and I'm sticking it on the paper, and it's going to go, this arm needs to come fairly close to the top of the piece of paper. I'm now going to take the other arm, and because there you are, they're all folded in together, I'm going to do the same thing here. I've got to make sure I know which is the thicker one, and that's this one here. So the thicker one's going to go at the top, and I'm going to put the arm so it goes up like so. Now I've done the 2 arms, and if you can see, it's coming off of the piece of paper. I don't need to stick it onto the paper correctly, because you can see when I put it onto the black background it's going to be fine. So now I need my head, so I'm going to take a head off of my head pile. Sounds a bit funny, doesn't it? Oh, I just need to tear that off a bit. Now I can glue all of that head. So I've got my pink glue on my head, and I'm going to, not on my head, on the head of the, and I'm going to put the head just in between the 2 arms. So you can see how our figure's building now, and if I put him on here, you can see that it's going to blend into that background. Now I'm going to do the same with the legs. Ooh, so I need to cut those legs out, don't I? So I'm just going to quickly cut those for you. I'm going to go around the foot. And again, I'm not going to cut these ones out to start off with. I'm going to leave it so that the legs are fairly straight. Whoops, so there's that one. I'm going to get rid of that piece of paper. That's the leg with the foot. And you'll find when you turn it over that the right foot becomes the left foot, and the left foot becomes the right foot. So all I'm doing here is cutting out around those legs. Getting rid of the paper. Don't forget we're going to pick that up later on. And I'm just going to put that on my table like so, so I know which one is which. So now I'm going to use the legs here, and I'm going to make sure that the legs come down right to the bottom of the piece of paper. So I'm going to, oh, I've got 2 there. So I'm going to just put a bit of glue right the way along the leg this time. And that leg is going to come down like so. And then the next leg, which I can take off, I'm peeling them off of my pile and try and keep them sort of into a body shape. I'm going to move that round. Now I'm going to cut this one. I'm going to cut it at the knee, and I'll show you why, because I'm going to put some movement into this. So instead of it being completely flat, I'm going to put that like so, And then I'm going to get this piece, glue all on that piece, and I'm going to take it back so it's coming like this. So now I've got my legs at the bottom and the arms actually in a nice shape coming off of the paper, and then all I've got to do is to connect it all together by taking one of my bits of body. Make sure it's not got the drawing side on. I made a mistake earlier on doing that, so make sure you haven't got the drawing side, and that goes like so. And there you are, you'll end up with a figure like that. And now you should have a pile of heads still, a pile of arms, a pile of bodies, and a pile of legs on your table. Again, it's not the end of the world if you lose one, because you can always pick up some of that spare paper and cut that spare paper. And then these, we're going to make 4 of these. So you want some with arms coming out to the sides, maybe arms coming up, legs crossed over. Just make them as sort of joyous as you can. And then the next part, and I'll show you the next part will be to, in fact, if I show you that now, will be to put those, I'll put my new one, I'll take this one off, I think. I'll take that one off, and I'll put my new one here. This is the one I've just made. And so those figures, then you can see that the backgrounds, it doesn't matter what colour paper you've got, as long as the paper you stick your figure onto is the same as the colour you're going to be eventually sticking your whole figures onto, the background of your piece of paper. And then all you have to do is, when you're happy with how that's looking, all you do is you glue that and stick it on, yeah? But this is the most important bit, because this is the most sort of artistic bit that we're doing. And I've got to make sure that that hand comes out over the top of that one, maybe down like so. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that now. So let's just move that back on a bit. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So if you could do that, remember that the main thing is that you have the backing paper, the paper you're going to stick it on, is the same as you're cutting out those long shapes with. Yeah. So it's a little bit complicated to start off with, but your teacher will help you through those phases, and I'll be with you in the Zoom in the lesson to see if I can help out as well. But I think you can see it's going to be a beautiful end product that we have. Okay, see you in the Zoom. Bye.